Hey everyone, welcome back to Drawing One. This is your instructor, Alexa Carabin Kleiner. And in this video, we're going to create an imaginary room using 1-point perspective. The goal of this exercise isn't to make a perfect drawing, it's to get comfortable using perspective as a tool. We'll be practicing how to build space and place objects inside it without overthinking or feeling anxious about perfectionism. This is practice for what we'll do from observation later in class. We'll be using the same materials we used in the last perspective exercise: your ruler, an eraser, a mechanical pencil or a pencil, and a marker. You can use a Sharpie. You could even use a plain old pen if you want to finish it. You can really finish with any materials that suit you. I don't care about that part of it, but I do suggest rendering the initial drawing in pencil and making sure to eventually erase all your organizational lines that you'll create. And then the other thing to mention is that you need to work horizontally. So switch your sketchbook to work horizontally. Otherwise, you're going to be too crammed. And in some cases, working small is harder than working big. So for this one, let's spread out and take up, the bulk of our sketchbook and work horizontally. It gives you more room to build depth and explore the space. Okay, so I'm going to start by placing my horizon line and determining my vanishing point. Your vanishing point doesn't have to be at the very center. You can choose to do it off center. And I'm going to do it slightly off center. Let's do it here, just to add some interest and some surprising things might happen. And then I'm going to draw my initial square or rectangle, which will be the back of my room. So it's important to note when you do this, your square doesn't have to be right in the center. Your vanishing point doesn't have to be right in the center. Your horizon line doesn't have to be right in the center. Although if you put the horizon line up high or too low, that would be a dramatic perspective, and you really should have an idea for that. Like you're an ant on the floor and you're looking from the ant's perspective up at the giant room. So just know if you do change that, have intent, have an idea behind it. For this purpose, I kind of want the feeling that I'm a human and I'm sitting in my bedroom. So I'm going to kind of think about that when I lay everything out. What I recommend is do your square, you make it a little off center to add some interest and to see what happens. But kind of keep it, a little bit towards the center, and keep your horizon line where you'd imagine it if you were sitting in that room. And by horizon line, I mean the eye line, like I explained in the last video. So I laid out my square or rectangle. And again, you are looking in 1-point perspective, you're looking straight on to that one side of architecture that is laying out your main perspective. So there has to be either a square or a rectangle in this room. And now I'm going to place the exterior portions of my wall by identifying that vanishing point, the corner of the back of the room, and I'm going to extend that line like that. So I'm lining up again with my vanishing point in the corner of that back wall, and I'm extending out. Vanishing point, corner of the back wall, extending out. And there we go. We have our basic framework, this is where the corners of the room would lie. And you can kind of see how it's a corridor or a room. The first thing I'm going to place is a door. So first I'm going to go parallel to this back line or perpendicular to the horizon line, and I'm going to place the size of my door. Let's see, it'll go like maybe this high on the wall. That's a pretty big door. Well, we'll see what happens. And so I'm drawing that initial line, and then to get the top of the door, I'm going to take that line with my vanishing point. So I have my vanishing point lined up, and that's the height that I want. The side here is going to go parallel, obviously, to this side. And it's going off the page because, as you can see, my wall extends off. So we're not going to see the bottom of the door. When you place your door, depending on where you placed your vanishing point, your horizon line, and everything else, it might go to, obviously, the corner here. And then I want you guys to add details to your objects that you place. I'm going to add a lot of details toward the end after I explain how to measure out all these different aspects. So I would like you to draw a door frame, try to give some dimension to the door. For right now, I'm going to place the doorknob just so we know this is a door. And you can use gesture in combination with this. So I'm just going to place that now. And then obviously you'll add some details, which I'm going to add more details in that, just so we know that's a door. Okay, so we have our door. Let's do a window on this side. Okay. I have established where I want my window to be on this wall. So I'm, again, lining up with that vanishing point. I'm lining up with the edge. You can just take it from there so you don't have to erase all those lines. So now I have my window placed, and I am going to do a bedroom. So I'm going to place a bed on the floor here. And I'm going to approach this just like we approached the first exercise where we made the boxes in space. Now I have the back of my bed, but I do want to place a headboard, which you can make look however you want. And you guys don't have to draw a bedroom. You could draw a kitchen. You could draw a room with a chair in it, but try to challenge yourself. Okay, I do want to show you how to find the center of like a window or a square that's in perspective. So there is a technique to find. So like let's say you wanted to put in the window panes to a window. And so your instinct would be to eyeball the center, but there actually is a method you can use to find that center point. So we're going to take this corner and this corner and draw a line from there to there. Ooh, I was a little off. And this is where mechanical pencils really work well because the thickness of the pencil can kind of push you away from where you need to go. Okay. So I'm going to leave that uncut because I want you guys to know that too. So I'm taking my mechanical pencil and see how it's just much more tighter, closer to the ruler. And then I'm going to go the other cross over here. And you want it to be as accurate as you can get it. If you are off, I suggest erasing your line because that can throw off the whole thing. So now we've identified the center is where these two lines cross. And that can come in useful if you want to draw a window pane through it. So I'm going to line up vantage point in the center of that. And now I have my center line here. I'm going to do it thick around it so we can have this window pane. And then the other one is going to go parallel to the sides. And I want you guys to have fun with this exercise. So after you place the windows and the furniture, then I want you to add detail. So like I'm going to add curtains to the window. I decided to make this one because I wanted to show you that placement technique. I decided to make this a painting. And so I'm going to add a frame. I'm going to add some art to the back wall. I'm going to put lamps on my tables. I'll put pillows on the bed. So I do want you guys to not only utilize it to place the major aspects, but then add detail. And then think about, how you would do the door frame. I'm going to do a door frame. So I'm going to speed this part up, but the next portion of this is to adorn your rooms and have fun with it. Okay, I've been busy adding detail and I realized we should put some wood floor on our floor. And so I want to teach you how to do that. To keep it nice and even, you want to make notation, like you want to make tick marks and measure them out. Okay, and you can either do them on the back wall, but I can't see my back wall anymore because I forgot about this, or you can do it at the front wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my ruler and decide how wide I want the planks to be. And I think I'm going to do a 1/2 inch at the front here. So I'm marking even tick marks And there is your 1-point perspective room. I added some ink. I erased my organizational lines. If you want, you can color them. You could paint them if it's the right paper. I did try the sketchbook paper and it's not okay to do watercolor on, so I don't recommend that. But you can take it as far as you want. You can continue to add details for hours if you wish, but that is also not a requirement. The most important thing to take away from this is confidence, knowing that you can use perspective as a tool, not necessarily a strict rule, but having that awareness of it can make things easier and can make your work more sophisticated in the long run. So it's a process. It's okay if this doesn't look great. The way to get better at it is to continuously make fictional rooms and then start looking at the world around you and identifying that 1-point perspective in reality and try to draw it from reality. In class, we will be drawing the hallways of the school building. And so I'm hoping that this exercise would have helped you gain some confidence in placing objects and learning how to use the vanishing point and all of that. Keep this drawing. It's a sketchbook assignment, and continue to think about perspective out in the natural world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in class.